March 11th, 2021. It was a pivotal day that all of us remember vividly, and a day that many of us wish we could be reliving exactly 1 year later, today, March 11th, 2022. It's an important one. Let's get right into it and discuss all the details. But if you're new here, or if you haven't done so yet, make sure to subscribe by hitting that button right down below the video. I'm here for you every single day, as I have been for the last 2 years, doing research every single day, breaking it all down into these short videos so that you can stay tuned with everything going on. And my dedication to you and this community is to be here for you right by your side every single day to help you out in any way that I possibly can through this incredibly confusing time as information continues to change very, very rapidly. So again, thank you so much for joining me. If you haven't done so yet, make sure to subscribe down below so you don't miss any videos going forward during this very busy time. All right, thanks again. Let's jump right into it. All right, so it was 1 year ago exactly to the day, March 11th, 2021. It was a pivotal day, and honestly, it was a little bit of a historic day as well. Many of you who have been here for over a year now remember that day very vividly. I was here with you in multiple videos that day as a lot of things were going down, so I want to share with you exactly what happened on that day and why many of us in this community are wishing we could be reliving that day again right here exactly 1 year later. I can tell you this much, the attitudes 1 year ago today were very different than they are right here a year later. Now, I'm not saying that to point out anybody in particular. I'm just simply saying things have changed very dramatically, and I think 1 year ago today, a lot of us were very, very, very excited. In fact, I know for a fact many of us were very excited because something happened a year ago today that was life-changing for a lot of people, at least in the short term. Let me tell you what happened. Exactly 1 year ago today, it was a Thursday, March 11th, 2021. The president signed into law the American Rescue Plan. This is the $1.9 trillion package that contained all kinds of different stimulus provisions, including a one-time $1,400 stimulus check. Do you remember that day now? Oh yeah, I bet you do. I know I remember that day very vividly. I was literally sitting right here at this desk, multiple videos that I came out in that day, giving you the play-by-play as the president was coming out, signing that bill, and it was a done deal. When his signature was on that thing, it was now law, and those checks were on the way. So let me walk you through the progression here. I want to give you a little bit of details as far as where we were a year ago today as to where we are right now. The landscape has changed very, very dramatically here, and you're going to see that here in just a second. So let me tell you through the progression here as far as this package and the distribution of those checks and all the stuff like this. Kind of very interesting. So let's reminisce for just a second here, just for good old time's sake. Why not, right? And then let me tell you where we actually were economically a year ago, because things were very, very different a year ago. So I have some information here, some statistics I want to run through with you in just a minute. You're going to find it to be a little bit shocking. I found it very shocking. Anyway, so exactly 1 year ago, it was in the afternoon. It was about 3 p.m. Actually, it was about 3:30, maybe 4 p.m. Eastern time when the president came out and signed that bill, turning it into law, the $1.9 trillion package that contained the infamous $1,400 checks. Oh man, just thinking about it makes me excited, right? I wish that Congress had the conscience to do something like this to help out the people once again these days. But anyway, just a few days later, it wasn't even a week later, on Wednesday, March 17th, the following Wednesday after the bill was signed into law, about 90 million people received their checks just a few days later. So the $1,400 was already flowing out to the vast majority of recipients just 6 days later. Amazing, right? Yeah, you couldn't believe it. So here's what happened shortly after that. Many of us here in the community who are maybe low income or living on a fixed income like Social Security, SSDI, retirement, survivors, SSI, VA, all of these benefits, for the vast majority of you, no payments arrived. And then we were wondering, what happened? Are we not eligible? Are we not going to get it? What's going on here? Well, as I continue to come back over the coming days here, I was assuring you, please please remember, you're definitely eligible for the check. And I was saying, I know for a fact you are eligible for it. I've read through all the details. I know you are eligible. I'm not sure what the deal is, why there's a delay, but I promise you I will get to the bottom of this. If you've been watching the videos since then, you remember those days, right? The heydays. Seriously, I was calling the IRS daily. I was calling Direct Express daily. I was calling Social Security all the time. I don't know how many times I called Social Security, but I called them at least 3 or 4 times as well. I was trying to get to the bottom of any of these answers, any of the questions, the mystery as to why the vast majority of people living on fixed income did not receive their $1,400 check. Well, unfortunately, the days continued to tick by and we didn't have any answers. Well, as we approached the end of March, the frustrations were running high. Many of us here in the community were wondering, what's going on? We're getting sick of this. The vast majority of people received their checks weeks ago on the 17th of March. We were sick of it. Remember those days? I think a lot of us, I think I was speaking for many of us at the time, we were getting really frustrated thinking, where is the money? You told us it was coming. The vast majority of people already got their payments. They have already gone out. They've spent it. They paid for bills. They paid off bills. They got some food. They got some clothes. They got some gas in their car. They got all the things that they needed. And here we were. We felt left out. We thought we've been betrayed. They left us out at this time. What are they doing? They gave the bait and switch. They told us one thing, and then they pulled the rug out from under us, and there was no check. Well, sure enough, at the end of March there, we finally figured out that the Social Security Administration never actually sent the files over to the IRS. Remember that? It was breaking news that came out all of a sudden. There were some letters that were sent over from lawmakers saying, Social Security, get on it right now, send the files over to the IRS. Well, immediately there were a few lawmakers, a handful of them, which by the way, many of us are very grateful for those people who did that, stepped up and demanded Social Security send those files over to the IRS. They did it a couple days later, and ultimately the IRS had the information for all the beneficiaries of Social Security. And then, nearly a month after the bill was signed into law by the president, on April 7th, it happened to be a Wednesday, a big wave of payments came out for millions and millions of fixed income beneficiaries. Do you remember that day? Again, I actually went back earlier today and I watched my video from April 7th of 2021. Watching my video, all of us were so excited. I even went through and read a bunch of comments on that video because I just thought, I want to see the attitudes of people. I want to see the excitement. I read through the comment section. There were thousands and thousands of comments on that video. Many of you reaching out saying, got a deposit. It's on my Direct Express card. It's in my bank account. I am super jacked up right now. So many people were excited that day. April 7th was a magical day. It took almost a month from the time the bill was signed into law until the vast majority of these fixed income, low income individuals actually got the money on their Direct Express cards, bank accounts. You probably remember it. You were probably one of those people. But April 7th was a really, really good day. A huge weight was lifted off our shoulders. Well, at least for a short time, until all the money was gone. I'm not sure about you, but I know that I went through that money very fast. It came in one door and essentially went right out the other just in a matter of days by trying to catch up on bills, pay down some credit cards, things like this, stock up the fridge and pantry with a little bit of food that's was a long time coming. Yeah, you could see that money came in and it went out pretty quickly. And then a lot of us were sitting kind of back at square one. And there we were sitting there wondering, okay, that was fun. When's the next one coming? Remember those days? Yeah. Anyway, if you have a chance, go back and check out that video. Basically, all you have to do is type into the search bar on YouTube, type in the channel name, Blind to Billionaire, and type in April 7th, 2021, and you should be able to find that video. It's a pretty funny one. I listened to the video, and honestly, I'm kind of funny. I talked totally different back then. I never even realized it until I watched that video. And I don't know, it's just a really fun time. It was an exciting day. The money was flowing. It was a nice day out. Early April, the weather was getting a little nicer out. Snow was disappearing, at least in my area where I was. It was just a nice day. I remember it so vividly. I was so excited that day to come in and see all the great comments from many people right here in the community saying, I got the 1,400. Thank God I finally got the 1,400. You know what I mean? Seriously, so many of us were incredibly grateful that day saying, I finally got it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It finally came through. Let me tell you what happened since then. All right, so let's get off of that little bandwagon there, and let's talk about what has happened since then. Get this, just a couple days ago on, what is today? Friday, yesterday morning, sorry, sometimes I lose track of the days here. Believe it or not, I do lose track of days. Yesterday, the CPI, the inflation data was released for February of last month. Let me tell you this, it came in at 7.9%. That's massive. And now we're anticipating the March numbers here, which will be released in about a month from now. We're anticipating this to come in at probably around 8.3 to 8.4%. That's massive. But let me tell you perspective on this. 1 year ago, March of 2021, the inflation data, guess what inflation was 1 year ago in March of 2021? You'll never guess. Seriously, I was shocked by this number. I could not believe inflation was this low. Inflation in March of 2021 was 2.6%. Yes, you heard that correctly. 2.6%. That's exactly where the Federal Reserve pretty much wants inflation to be. They want inflation to be about 2 to 2.5%. That's the benchmark for the Federal Reserve. That's not that bad. 2.6% inflation is not bad at all. I mean, seriously, if they could bring inflation down to 2.6%, it would not be a big deal. It would not be that big of a deal at all. So my point is, here we are. The latest inflation data was just released yesterday, 7.9%. That's a difference of 5.3% if my mental math is correct. Yeah, it's correct. Yeah, I just ran the mental math. 5.3% from 1 year ago, March of 2021 until today. Well, technically through February of 2022, the last inflation number from yesterday, so technically that was February. We're talking about inflation going up 5.3%. Now, here's the thing. As they measure inflation, they take a basket of goods. It's not like inflation on one item. No, inflation is much, much higher across the board on many, many things. But what they do is they take a basket of goods, and basically they average the inflation out across all of these items within the basket. That's how they come up with these inflation numbers. But here's the thing. We've seen inflation on, let's just say gas, for example, or oil. What is it even now? I honestly haven't even run the calculation on it. Well, 100%, 80%, something like that. It's massive. Energy up massively. Actually, I just saw a report yesterday. They said that the highest inflationary items right now, get this, it's kind of funny actually. Furniture, chicken, toys, and steak. Those were the items on the list. These are the items that they said have the highest inflation right now. And by when I say highest, I'm talking like 30% or possibly even more when it comes to these items. So just in the last 1 year alone, we've seen inflation go absolutely nuts. I mean, seriously, like straight up inflation. So you can see the landscape from a year ago until today. Inflation has gone up dramatically. I think all of us can probably agree the global situation has changed dramatically. A year ago, I'm honestly not really sure what the COVID situation was. I honestly don't really remember. It's been a very weird time the last couple of years here. I just honestly don't really recall what COVID was like about 2 years ago. I think it was still around. I don't think it was anything like raging like it was at the beginning of 2022 and the end of 2021, but it was still around. There were still restrictions. We were only a year into the whole COVID thing. So anyway, my point is, the global situation, the situation here in the United States has changed very, very dramatically. A lot of people are really struggling. Don't get me wrong, a year ago people were struggling, but realistically, the struggle that we're seeing today is nothing like what we were seeing a year ago. So anyway, I was thinking about a year ago today. I remember all of these dates. I remember things very vividly, and I came across today, the date, and I thought, it'd be kind of fun to make a video about this and just take a few minutes to reminisce about the 1400 that was signed into law 1 year ago today. And it would be, unfortunately, a couple weeks before the vast majority of us in this community actually receive the checks. But for the vast majority of us here, we did ultimately get it. Either, it's sometime in mid-March or possibly early April on the 7th of April when the vast majority of us actually received those checks. But man, what a cool day. I mean, seriously, to have the bill signed into law, man, we had so much excitement. We had so much to look forward to. The $1,400 checks, we knew they were coming. And then there was those couple weeks of frustration where we didn't really know what was going on. And then ultimately, early April, April 7th, was the key day for the vast majority of people. Man, What a cool time, right? So anyway, I thought it'd be kind of fun to come back and talk about this for just a minute, reminisce about this, and think about how amazing it was just a year ago, how life-changing it was to get that $1,400 deposited into our accounts. I think all of us can remember the day we woke up. I remember it very vividly. I woke up, whatever time I woke up, I don't know. I usually wake up around 5 o'clock, but my bank account doesn't update until 7 a.m. Man, 2 hours of agony. Come on, update already. You remember those days? So my bank account doesn't update until 7 a.m. I remember checking my bank account over and over and over and over and over again, thinking, is this thing broken? Why isn't it updating? And then finally, 7:01, I logged in and there it was, pending $1,400. Well, actually, no, it was $2,800. $1,400 for me, $1,400 for my wife. So, oh man, what a time that was. Seriously, it was so much excitement. Finally, a little bit of relief that we could finally pay down some of the credit that we've been drawing on for the last few months, trying to get by. Maybe some of the outstanding bills that we had sitting around. I don't know about you, but I certainly had a couple envelopes laying on my counter that I was kind of neglecting because I didn't want to pay them. You know what I mean? And then finally, we could pay some bills for once. Anyway, I could go on and on how a year ago it was a pretty good time, right? Anyway, we can only hope that Congress will come together and do something like this again. Now, of course, I highly doubt they're going to do a $1.9 trillion stimulus package, but the likelihood of them doing some kind of anti-inflationary check or relief check or maybe another stimulus check or a focused stimulus check on Social Security, all of these fixed income beneficiaries, there's a possibility of that. And honestly, with all of this inflation continuing to rage at the rate that it is, there's becoming a higher possibility of this actually happening. Just like the last couple checks here, I've been talking about the last couple days here. These new proposals where lawmakers are coming out talking about direct payments. It's nowhere near a $1,400 check, but at least it's something. Anyway, I'll leave it there for now. I could probably sit here and ramble on forever talking about how a year ago it was a really nice time and just cross our fingers and wish that Congress would do something like this once again, but you never know. Honestly, I'll continue watching everything closely. We can only hope that Congress will do something like this for at least the struggling Americans right now, the low income, the fixed income, people who really need this money. But anyway, thought it'd be fun to come back here in a little video and take a little trip down memory lane and just remember the good old days when it was exciting, when we had some money coming in, when we had a $1,400 survival check, when it was some good stuff out there. Anyway, I'm here for you in any way that I can be. I do think that Congress probably will do something. Honestly, I think they're going to try to do it perfectly timed in front of the election. I'm just being honest with you. I think they're going to try to do something here sometime this year in 2022, but I wouldn't be surprised if they try to drag this out a little bit longer to try to get a little bit closer to the midterm elections so that they can be remembered when we go to cast our votes. So again, just being honest with you with what I'm kind of foreseeing here. I don't know though. I don't have a crystal ball. Anyway, I'm here for you though. Make sure to subscribe down below and I'll keep you posted with any new details that I find with anything going on out there. I want to make sure that you're staying updated with all of these details. Subscribe down below, share the video with your friends, family, social media, and go back and check out any of the other 2,200 videos right here on the channel. And enjoy your day, and hopefully I will catch you again later in the next video. Thanks again.